So this is the Orion 2.1 from Non-Smoker. I saw one of these at VaporCon. My buddy Chris, Capone's Pops over at ECF, he had one, and his buddy Mike that came with him had one. And when I got to VaporCon, I already had one on the way. I did a trade with a guy in Russia about 3.5 weeks ago, and it's actually still sitting in customs, so it's been in customs for 3 weeks now. And after using Chris and Mike's Orion, I was super excited to finally get one in. Well, I bought a lot of stuff at VaporCon, and the Genesis Sidewinder was one of them. So a mutual friend of ours, Quinn, wanted a fourth Sidewinder, and now he's got 4 of them. He's just a collector and super great guy, and so he said he had a few Orions, and I was really anxious to get one now. So ended up doing a trade, Orion and some cash for the Sidewinder, and it came in yesterday, and ever since then it's been the best little PV I've ever used. It is it's really small. Like, this is 18-350. And there's actually an additional tube that goes with it that kicks it up to a 18-650. And it's really neat because with an 18-650 in the Orion, it's actually the same size as like a Genesis Mini or generally any other 18-350 that I have. So it's like with 18-350, it's super stealthy, with the exception of the vapor production. You can't really hide it. It's amazing, the vapor that it produces. So let's take a couple of pulls off of it, and then we'll kind of get into a couple of things that are different about this one versus one that you would just kind of go pick up on the forums anywhere. So we'll see how it goes. I'm sure you could see that was pretty amazing. My nose is itching. Some of the reasons that this one just steam engines is my buddy Quinn. He sent me a video using his with a 5/64 hole drilled for the air hole. He bored the air hole out to 5/64. I've seen a lot of people talk about modding Orions and modding Bliss and boring the air hole out bigger. I'd never done it before, so I didn't really get the concept of why would you do that, and now I absolutely know, and I know the sweet spot for me on Genesis is a 5/64 air hole. What it does, and I'm not going to be able to get into focus it, but right here, the air hole, basically what he did is took a 5/64 bit and drilled the air hole out. And what that does is it allows a lot more air to mix with the vapor. And like with this one, it just, I don't know, I thought mixing more air with it wouldn't necessarily produce more vapor. I thought it would produce more vapor, but maybe not as dense a vapor. But I was absolutely wrong on that. With this Orion, the flavor is better, the vapor is better, the throat hit is, marginally diminished, I guess, with a lot more air in the vapor. But man, this thing just kicks so hard. I generally wrap a 3/4 wrap with 30 gauge A1 Cantho. On this one, I put a 3/4 wrap with 32 gauge A1 Cantho. And so even with a higher resistance coil, I'm still getting a very rich, dense vapor. And it's just outstanding. So we'll give it another pull here, and I don't know, we'll keep going. It's unbelievable. I don't know if it's the Orion or if it's the air hole. I don't own a Genesis atomizer that produces like this thing does. It's absolutely phenomenal. I just filled the tank up, and it holds right at 1.5 mils, so it's not huge capacity, but this is a stealth vape. 1.5 mils is easily good for a couple hours out and about. It's fantastic. Now, I did have a problem, and my buddy Chris did warn me about it. He said, never ever put the battery in positive up, which is what we're used to doing. We're all pretty well used to taking the cap off, nipple up, put the battery in there, screw the cap on, and off we go. Can't do that with an Orion, and there are some severe consequences that I found out just a few minutes ago from doing it that way. Before I did this video, I filled it up with juice and put a new battery in it, set it down, walked away. I was gone for a couple of minutes, went and washed my hands, got a drink, and ready to do the video. And I came back and I could smell burning. And so what's the problem? What is this? I picked it up and actually burned my hand. Nothing second degree or anything, but it was definitely dropped it because it was just so hot. And what happens is whenever you put the battery positive side up instead of positive down, it just triggers, it fires, and it will sit and fire and fire and fire until it either destroys the button or until you quickly go in there and get that battery out of there. And you can imagine with it being that hot, it was not easy to just get the battery out of it. Eventually I got the battery out. I had to hold it with a paper towel and screwed it off really quick and got it out and set it down, and the top cap for a good 15 minutes was almost scalding hot. So I took it and ran the top cap under cold water, and it got back down to I guess a usable temperature. And so, stopped to go ahead and do the video. And so I would say be careful if you get one. Even though I knew it, I still, out of the force of habit, I still put the battery in positive side up. And so I could imagine if you do that and you leave it sitting there and just forget about it and walk away like I did, it probably would end up burning your switch out. And that's what Chris told me that it would do. If you just walk away from it, it'll burn the switch out. So note to anyone getting one in the future, be sure to always put your battery in negative side up or positive down to avoid that problem. There's a list going, I think, on Vaporwall for the V3 of this. I'm not really sure what changes are coming in the V3, but I definitely will never miss an Orion. It by far is my favorite PV. I've got this one here and one coming from Customs. I don't think I would ever get rid of them. I'm going to shoot to probably trying to have 3 or 4 of them, as I juggle flavors a lot. I can't say enough good about it. That's really the only negative is the positive side up issue. It was super simple to wrap a coil on, just a standard 3/4 with 32 gauge Canthal. Another thing that did happen to me, when I first got it, my buddy sent it and he had the 3 O-rings actually inside the tank. And 2 of them were pretty easy to figure out, just one here, and there it goes. And I went to putting the top cap on, and I kept overshooting the wick with the cap. I couldn't figure out why. And so I found out that 3rd O-ring that I couldn't find a use for, it really just goes, you've got 1 O-ring at the bottom, you've got 1 O-ring at the top of the tank, and then at the bottom of the threading, actually touching the top O-ring under the tank. That's where the O-ring goes, and it causes, well, 1, it creates a seal to avoid leaking, but 2, it makes the top cap when you cinch it down, it stops it right on the wick hole. So that's another thing. No instructions, of course, but you wouldn't. This is I don't know, just a mod that a group makes, and it's a really good mod. So I want to get this video done, and we will potentially do another one down the road with a breakdown and full setup. But it's really just simple. If you're familiar with the Genesis, it's a Genesis atomizer, pretty standard positive and negative post. You can run 2 wicks in it using the fill hole and the other negative post for a 2nd wick. And then it's built into the switch assembly. Then you've got just a bottom tube to screw on and cover the battery, and then there's an additional tube that goes in the middle to 200 up to 18650. And again, on the size, an 18650, it's the same size as like my Genesis Mini with an 18350 in it. So I think they definitely did their research and were space conscientious, because it's just a phenomenal little stealthy vape. So look forward to continuing to use it and doing a follow-up down the road for it. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe and be strong and vape.